Our founder actually did a watchmaking training when he was 20 years old. He went to Switzerland.
Hi, Happy Horologists. This is Jason Grant, bringing you a report from a very special Time+Tide event with Leica. Leica is a camera company worldwide renowned for their cameras. On 26th of March, we attended the launch of their watches, because now Leica creates and does watches and sells watches. We were really curious to know what they are like and check them out in real life. The weather on 26th of March was very beautiful and London looked mesmerizingly glorious. Leica has a very beautiful shop in Duke Street in London, which is branded with Leica logo and features beautiful watches and cameras right through the window. We were looking forward to this event very much. The atmosphere at the event was very friendly. Leica has a shop which is part gallery, part shop. The gallery features many photographs made by photographers using Leica cameras. These photographs are printed and framed in a very beautiful way, and they depict the soul and the unique signature of Leica cameras. They served us food and canapes and drinks, and we met many of our friendly horologists.
Our founder actually did a watchmaking training when he was 20 years old. He went to Switzerland. He learned about watchmaking and all the competence, everything he learned there, he brought back to Wetzlar and constructed the world's best microscopes and finally also the world's first 35mm camera. So watchmaking actually laid the foundation for everything we know today, Leica represents. And on top of that, if you look at the Leica M6, which was launched in 1984, if you take up the top cover, you see a very, very precise time measuring device there, from 1 second down to 1,000th of a second. So time is essential for cameras and for watches. And that simply gives us much more credibility and the right to involve in watches than many other brands. And what I would ask from watch enthusiasts all over the world is to don't judge us just like now Leica is going into watches, so they should stick to cameras, but actually have a look at what we offer, have a look at our website, go to our stores, discover the fascinating hand-wound manufacture movement, which was the first movement we launched 2.5 years ago, with up to 7 complications, a beautiful movement, and give us a chance and have a look at it, and we are here to stay. More will come, but we are a startup, like you said. We will not compete with the big guys immediately. We find our niche, and the USP certainly needs to be that we're pretty close to the big brand, to the cameras, to the world of photography, and I think that's what I can answer.
But we are here to talk about this incredible watchmaker that happens to make some cameras on the side. That's the wrong way around. But no, we're here to talk about the ZM12, which we've got above me just here. There's a couple dotted around the room. But before we get to hands-on with those, we've got a couple of slides to get through, a bit of talking.
Not too many.
Not too many, don't you worry about that. Yeah. But introduce yourself. You've got a long history in luxury already. You find yourself at Leica for the second time in your career now.
Yep.
Give us a bit of backstory. Tell us about it.
So, born in Sweden with a German mother, so I'm bilingual, which is good at Leica. And actually started my career after university as an officer in the Swedish Royal Guards, and I guarded the Royal Crown Princess as well. So that's a bit of a different start. And my first job, the civilian, my first civilian job was working for Leica because I love photography. I developed a lot myself, black and white photography. I dreamt of becoming a photographer, but I studied business administration. So starting to work for Leica was a pretty good alternative, and I was in charge of the Wild East. I went to Russia in the 90s. I drove through Moscow with the guys with Kalashnikovs on the passenger seat, and it was crazy stuff happening. And actually, already in those days, we had some watches, because every time a camera didn't sell as well, we made a bundle, and you suddenly got the camera with some cheap watch on top. But they sold, it helped. Huh? But that was not really what we wanted to do. And anyway, I left Leica after 2 years. I always stayed in touch because it's a brand you easily start to love. And I always kept in touch, but I started to work for Cartier as a product manager watches. I started to work for the BMW group with the brand strategy of Rolls-Royce, and as the marketing director for BMW in Scandinavia. And then my ex-boss called me and I asked, do you want to become the MD for IWC Schaffhausen, also a very nice watch brand. So I worked for IWC for 17 years, and I was in charge of 32 countries, 3 subsidiaries, Munich, Moscow, Istanbul, so a huge area. And then everything became a bit too concentrated to not even the brand headquarters, but the group headquarters in Geneva. So I was happy to accept the challenge at Leica, coming back to Leica. And yeah, that's where I've been now 1 year and 1 month. Yeah. So I'm a mix of a down-to-earth luxury guy, cameras, watches. I've always loved watches. I bought my first cycle when I was 7 years old. I still have it. And yeah, that's...
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of your collection as well. That's,
which I cannot wear anymore.
No, but you get to wear some lovely watches now in your current role.
Yeah.
But enough about you. We're here to talk about some watches.
Yes.
So, I think the first question I've got for you, what business does Leica have making watches? You're camera people, what are you doing?
No, I honestly, I think and I hope and I pray that Leica will remain mainly a camera manufacturer also in the decades ahead. I'm convinced. That's the heart and soul and the core DNA of the brand. We will not give up on that. But the brand has more to offer, and we're not a social institute, we're a company. We want to grow, we need to grow. It's also a bit about risk reduction. Who knows what kind of photography we're facing in 20 years. So we want to grow the brand, but we want to stick to new product areas which make sense. We will not start to do perfumes or things like that. But we have started to produce some of the best, or maybe the best projectors in the world. The CMK1, I mean, this piece is amazing, or the Big Brother over there. They are great, but they are linked to optics. And actually, if you see the slide, that's Ernst Leitz the first, our founder. And some of you might know Leica means lights camera. They started to use that word in marketing many decades ago. And he went to Switzerland, to Neuchâtel, and did a watch training there with a watchmaker called Hip. And there he learned about, he was 20 years old, and there he learned about producing small things very precisely. He used materials used in watchmaking. He learned about serial production, and all this knowledge he brought back to Wetzlar, the home of Leica, ever since 50 kilometers north of Frankfurt. And I'm actually convinced that the Leica of today would not exist as it does today. Maybe it wouldn't exist at all, I don't know, if we hadn't had this watchmaking training now. Because it laid the foundation for this fine engineering competence which we have. And so that is one of the reasons. The other reason is this beauty, which is...
this is a museum piece.
No, it's not a museum. It's actually our M6, which we have been selling since 1984. Analog camera. I just asked the colleagues in the manufacturing facility to get rid of the viewfinder, and you can have a look at it later. It has many parts which remind of a watch. It's a super precise timekeeper here, down to 1/1000th of a second, manual. And so this is the second reason. The third reason, I'll put it here. Don't steal it. I'll know where it is. There's an answer in it. And the third reason is that, of course, we needed somebody with the vision and money and the will. And that's Dr. Andreas Kaufmann, the majority owner of Leica. Actually, the guy who saved us back in 2004 when times were really tough. And in 2015, he said, come on, I want a Leica for the wrist. He knew about what is in some of our products. He knew about the history. He loves watches. So what do? You say, start. We started the project team. We brought in a designer who has designed a number of Leica products, several cameras, Arkin. We brought in a movement designer from Lang & Söhne, not the worst brand to look at. And of course, in those days, I was still selling IWC watches, but this is what I learned in the last 13 months. Of course, they had the discussion, where should we start? Should we start like some other brands going into watches? We buy ETA, Selita, and we do something nice with the design. Or no, that would not be Leica. So yeah, they chose to construct a manufacturer movement. Hand-wound. Why hand-wound? Because some of you might have had these Tamagotchis years or decades ago. The relationship between you and the hand-wound watch on your wrist is even higher than if it's an automatic. You have to feed it. You have to feed it actively every, in our case, 60 hours. And they chose to construct a hand-wound manufacturer movement with up to 7 complications, which is pretty much. And Leica is not a gadget company. So actually, all these complications are really great to use. And I just came back from New York last week. Before that, I was 4 weeks in Asia. I used the second time zone. I used everything on this watch. And so that was the start.
So we talked about this first watch now, the ZM1, ZM2. There are a lot of Easter eggs, Easter eggs in this watch that link it back to Leica. Talk me through some of these. Talk us through what you've done and what you've incorporated in to make it feel like it's part of it's a Leica product.
If you look at it, the ZM1 is to the left, the ZM2 is to the right. The difference is the second time zone, the GMT function, and the second crown at 4 o'clock. When I look at that, that is Leica design. Leica is about clean design, reduction of design, not a lot of gadgets, nothing distracting, everything you see there, you need. So I would say that the two biggest things, or the details that I would like to point out is, first one, you have a push crown. So instead of pulling the crown, you push the crown. Of course, you have a red dot on it, so it reminds of the shutter release on the camera. There are several advantages linked to that. You always know you're in control of the watch. And then we have if you stand a bit further here because you're in front of the projector, not even our projector can beam through your body.
Maybe that's
so you're working on that. So we have a power reserve between 8 and 9 o'clock. You have a power reserve. You see the white field, and we have a patent on that. We also have a patent on the push crown because the push crown is linked to a small second reset. So Leica is about precision. So this watch, you stop it, you push the crown, you stop it, a mode indicator or a round white field gets red, you know that the watch has stopped. The small second jumps to 12 o'clock, and you can sit there in front of the TV evening news and you start it again. And it's really on the second you start it. The power reserve reminds of the shutter of the M6. Some might say it reminds of an aperture in the lens, both fine for me. And this power reserve is also patented. It has 2 black shades that after 60 hours you don't see any white field anymore. And when you wind it, you see how the white part gets bigger and bigger. And it's a super easy way of seeing whether your Tamagotchi needs to be fed or not.
And you mentioned about this, you wanted to go the extra mile, you didn't want to half-ass this, so you decided to go for a full manufacturing movement. It's not an easy thing to do.
No.
There are a lot of watch companies out there that don't even do a manufacturing movement today, and they've been around for a lot of time.
I can tell you the story whom we found. First of all, these were other versions of it. The monochrome, I see a lot of gorgeous Leica cameras here around. Thank you for that. Thanks for being part of the Leica family. The monochrome is, of course, the watch that is linked to our monochrome cameras. Very reduced contrast. We also have 50 pieces in gold. Of course, we had to find somebody who is big enough to do serial production, but small enough to be interested in the startup, because we are virtually a startup. I'm the MD of the Ernst Leitz Werkstätten GmbH, which is the Ernst Leitz manufacturer, and we are in charge of non-technical accessories, meaning watches, but also other things. And we had to find somebody, and we found Leica ZM1, which is a small, but not too small, German company in the Black Forest, in the southwest of Germany. And actually, when you walk through the manufacturing facilities of Leica, you see machines. Lehmann, he does actually produce machines we use in the manufacturing of cameras. And he also has a small brand of his own. He makes 70, 80 watches a year. So he knew about watch production, and somehow Dr. Kaufmann, our owner, and they knew each other. And that's how it started. So these watches are made in Germany. They're made in the Black Forest. We are very, very close to these guys. And the ambition level was pretty high to start there, huh? That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's ambitious. And so I think
you see this is the movement.
Gorgeous.
And I see that some have been drinking a little bit of alcohol, so that makes it easy. Because if you look at the round shape of the bridge, and you see some round parts, and if you go to Google Maps, and you look at the Lights Park, which is the home, the heart and soul of Leica, it has the same shape. And if you don't see it without some booze in your blood, have a drink or two, and then suddenly, I promise you will see it.
The bar will remain open.
It works for me, at least.
So, a very brave first step, and perhaps an equally brave second step, you decide to go into a sports watch. So you pivot hard from ZM1, ZM2, ZM11. That man.
Maybe just this shows the different complication on the ZM1 too.
Yeah.
This is the guy, Markus Lehmann, the guy producing these watches, and he was heavily involved in the construction process as well. And push down, of course, with the red dot. The power reserve in detail. It's like I said, it's very nice to use it. Yeah, this is what you're talking about. This is a more contemporary product line. It's called the ZM11. ZM stands for Zeitmesser. Leica is not about gadgets and beautiful names. Zeitmesser means time measuring device. That's the secret behind ZM.
Yeah.
And well, one product family is not enough if you want to be serious. So you need at least two. We don't need 5. We couldn't handle 5 either, but we need 2 and maybe in the future 3. But I think there's a lot of potential in what we have already. And these watches are made in Switzerland. There's a company called Horology. Those of you who are into watches have probably heard of it, especially the owner and the master watchmaker, the brain behind it, Jean-François Maujean. The genius, watchmaking genius, and a super nice guy, and that's a nice combination. It's nice to work with nice people.
Rare combination.
Yeah. He's really nice, and we'll meet him actually next Wednesday.
Yes.
He'll be there.
Perfect.
So why did we choose to go for made in Switzerland? Well, we don't have to be ashamed of getting a watch from Switzerland, I would say, and we needed a second price point, a lower price point, of course, also. And Lehmann did not really have the right movement for us. And we didn't have time to develop it, because to develop a movement costs millions and takes years. So we took one of his movements, a pretty modular movement. You can actually put on a chrono, you can put on a moon phase, etc. And we adapted it to our needs, so it looks like a movement should look like. We don't have any engravings on our movement because we're an industrial company. And by the way, if you don't engrave, you can't hide anything either. So it's even more challenging to keep it the way we do. So we wanted to reach out to more customers with another price point, with another design. And if the DNA transfer to the ZM1 and 2 comes mainly from the hardware, from the cameras, I would say the DNA transfer to these watches comes from the world of photography. How light and shadow play together, how things appear different depending on from where the light comes, how you look at things. And if you look at, these are the new ones, the slightly smaller 39mm instead of 41mm, no central second, but a small second at 6 o'clock, no date, so even more reduced. Maybe this is even more of a Leica design than the ZM11. And the size is perfect. Yeah, jumping to the guys behind, this is Jean-François Maujean, that's the designer, Dr. Andreas Kaufmann, and the guy in front of you. So these were the people behind this watch, and this shows where the inspiration comes from. So not from the hardware maybe, but actually from this world of photography. Like I said, light, shadow, different shapes. And if you look at these, the dials, you need a lot of light to see the beauty of the dials, but they are actually dual laid brass dials. Takes up to 3 weeks to manufacture them. 30 steps, etching, grinding, hand lacquering. Stop? No, it's still working, okay. I was in New York last week and it stopped, it definitely stopped. So I had to use my officer's voice and everybody was like this. Which also worked, but it's more or less like this. So that's where the inspiration comes from, and I wherever I am, I ask the guests, have you seen something like this before? Does it exist? And no, we seem to be unique with these kind of dials, and they are beautiful. Have a look at them, and the color combinations are fantastic. And yeah, the ZM11 and 12, they don't have complications, no? But it's a beautiful watch with a great movement. So we have something for different tastes now.
Absolutely, and I've been lucky enough to handle both 11 and 12. And again, you've worked in these Easter eggs that link it back to the Leica camera.
Yeah. And here you see the movements, also no gadget movement, but it's a very nice movement. If you look at the case, it fits the case as such. It's not a small movement, it's pretty large. And we have a steel and titanium cases. And this is what I mean with these horizontal lines with the two colors, and then the small second that kind of breaks up these lines, because otherwise it might be a bit too linear.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's I think getting these watches under light, I think is really important, and really getting a hands on it. And if you get a chance first, please do get it under some good light, because the dial comes alive. It seems active, when you start playing with it. It's really good fun.
So this is actually the last slide. I want you to be the most disciplined crowd I've seen in the last 6 weeks. So thanks for that. Thanks for listening. But that's why I also believe in keeping things short. And then I'm here to answer your questions. Don't go too technical. I'm not a watchmaker. I'm just selling. I would ask you to see us and to respect us as a startup. We are a great brand in photography. I dare to say we're the world leader in optics. But in watches, we're a startup. We started to sell 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and we started with the manufacturing movement. So sometimes when we get a lot of fantastic reviews, and then I look at some of the comments, I think, oh, come on, man. It's like stick to cameras, and why will you start doing suitcases soon, etc. Maybe it's a good idea.
You might need a light suitcase pretty soon.
And so believe in us. We're here to stay. We definitely, when you listen to Dr. Andreas Kaufmann, he definitely wants watches to happen and to become a success. And we are a small organization, but we have a very heavy involvement from the family. Actually, his daughter is my marketing manager, and her husband, so his son-in-law, is my co-MD in charge of the finance stuff. So the family is heavily involved overall in Leica, but especially in our subsidiary. And I'm deeply convinced that these products, because of the history we have, because of the products with a lot of the analog parts, we have the credibility and the right to produce watches.
I think that's been made very clear. And I don't think anyone is going to argue with me. But look, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free. This is the time to ask. Over to you guys. Are there any questions in the crowd? How much are there? That's the first question everyone should answer.
I don't have the British pound price in my head, but this one is about €7,000. And the one I have, this is actually a prototype, which I'm not allowed to see. You have to wait 2 more months. It's gorgeous. The ZM2 is about 14,000, and without the second time zone, it's 10,000. I have to say it's a lot of money. I have respect for people spending that amount of money, but looking at the small production numbers we have and the production prices, etc., this is a pretty good price. And Chronode, that was something I learned in the last few weeks. There are brands that use these kind of movements, maybe not even adapted to their brands for the double price. But of course, we are Leica. I mean, we should not start to sell watches for €1,200. But I'm convinced that we actually that we offer something. We shouldn't just have high prices, but we need to offer something. And looking at the complications of the ZM1 and 2, I'm deeply convinced that's a fair price.
A comprehensive answer to price. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, question. In the past, you've bundled watches with cameras. Do you see that with ZM again?
Sounded very hopeful.
Actually, earlier today I trained the staff here, and I showed an idea we have. I'm not a fan of forcing customers who want one product to purchase another. I think that's not really fair. But there might be some things that make sense in the future. And we have some ideas. Things at Leica take time, and things in watchmaking take time. So it's nothing that will happen in the next few months. But there are some nice ideas which could fit very well together. That's all I can say, but I can show you everything.
We've already seen the monochrome edition anyway, and that kind of links straight to a camera product, so it's really into that. Any more questions? Yes.
Is the ZM2 the only GMT?
The ZM2 has a GMT function.
Is that the only one?
Yeah.
That's 41, yeah.
The ZM2 you can get classic with a steel case and a black dial, but you can also get it as this monochrome edition. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the good thing about movements is they don't get old. I mean, this movement will live for quite a number of years, and we have some pretty nice plans what could come in the future. It makes sense to have a GMT function because Leica is, of course, about traveling, about meeting new people, creating experiences, creating your own experiences. And like I said, I had good use of it in the last few weeks when I was somewhere in different time zones and started to wake up in the morning and didn't know which city I am. So second time zone actually makes sense. Yeah, it's good.
First of all, thank you. Just had a quick question. On the dial, why you didn't decide to go with the red logo and you just go with the letters?
I mean, it was my predecessors took that decision, but I fought very hard to have this kind of logo now on something that will come, not related to watches, that will come later this year. I think it's a very nice logo, and the red dots, I love it, but it needs to recover a bit. It shouldn't be on every piece of merchandising found everywhere. And and sometimes subsidiaries, trying to do something good, do something, or the headquarter, and you find it on the napkin paper holder in the staff restaurant in Wetzlar. I think it should be a bit not sacred, but it needs to recover. And if we had put the red logo on these watches, I think it would have made a certain impression of being a bit more of a brand accessory or even a merchandising product. I love the red logo, but it's also very, it focuses your attention, and it would have focused too much. We do have the red dot on the push crown. We use it here and there. We also have it on the ZM11 and 12. We have an easy change system, so we have 2 red dots. So if you like the red dot, you can push. That's the answer.
What's the current production per annum, and what's the target to justify the investment made on the watches?
We do not aim to. I mean, of course, it would be nice if we came up to the production numbers of more established brands, and we want to grow. I see ourselves in the 5-digit range in a number of years, but lower 5-digit range, and maybe it's the upper 4-digit range for the next few years to come. Yeah, I mean, it's a moderate expansion. We actually opened the first. We are represented in 55 Leica stores from LA to Tokyo. We will remain in the Leica network, of course, because it's a Leica product. It needs to be here in this network, but we also opened the first dealer in mid of December in the hometown of Leica in Wetzlar, because we also need to be where watches are actually being sold. And I can tell you that guy has sold a number of watches already, and he keeps calling me and he says, I love selling Leica because I have so nice stories to tell. Yes, it's the hometown of Leica, but Leica is loved also beyond the borders of Wetzlar. So we will expand step by step, but we will not be found on every corner.
Any more questions?
Go on.
I guess two questions for you. When I told some watch pals that I was coming to this tonight, I got 2 responses. One was, "Oh, I didn't know Leica made watches," and the other one was, "Oh, they make cameras," and they rolled their eyes. So how do you get past that to where these watch folks will take you all seriously and really look into the brand?
That's a challenge we have. No? That's a challenge we have, and I think some of you tonight were thinking the same, and maybe I've managed to change your impression of us going for watches as well a little bit, because of the stories that are credible and that are true, with the heritage, with the products. We are a medium-sized company. We don't have the advertising budget of Omega and other brands. So we will always have the challenge that we are somehow in a kind of underdog position, and we need to fight the big guys. Somehow we need to find our niche. I think our niche is to be pretty close to cameras without starting to build James Bond watches with a built-in camera. Could be a nice idea, but that's not the way we want it. So it will take time. This is not a project that is where we reach our goals within the next 24 months or so. It's a long way, and now whether you like it or not, you are our official brand ambassadors now for the watch project. So spread the word out there and say that we have pretty nice watches, that we have a heritage and the credibility, raison d'être, as they say in France, to make watches, and step by step we want to move forward. Thank God the main turnover in this company is made by our gorgeous cameras, and that gives us the time we need to build this business. So tell your friends, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
You said before, there are a lot of similarities between parts on M cameras and watches, and my question is, how much of the parts of the watches are made in the Leica factory in Germany?
I would say that the parts are similar in the way that, for example, we have a spring in the end. We have bridges. We have different parts that also are used in watches, but on a much smaller size. We do not produce these watches ourselves in the Leica plant. We do it with our partner in the Black Forest. It's about 3 hours from Wetzlar. Of course, it would be fantastic to have everything on site and a pond with alligators for the straps behind the factory. But we have to be reasonable. So the watches are produced in Germany and in Switzerland. But we're very close, and we are in charge. They do what we want.
Watch out for an alligator reintroduction program in Black Forest soon. Guys, I think that is kind of...
I've got one more question.
One more, go ahead. Shoot.
Did I not read somewhere that Leica actually started as a watch company originally? Or have I just made that up in my head?
I'd love to have that article, but I think you might mix it up with the fact that he started as a watchmaker.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And that's true. Huh?
Yeah.
Like I said, Ansa's the first 20-year-old watchmaker training in Switzerland.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what other watches to this partner make?
Sorry.
The partner you mentioned in the Black Forest, what other watches do they make?
He produces. He's world champion in milling. He loves milling. When you go there and you ask him about his machines, his eyes start to glow and light up, and he loves that. He is not producing any other watch brand than his own, called Lema, and he produces about 70 or 80 per year. But that's where he got the watchmaking confidence from. So he's only producing Leica and his own brand.
Great. Well, I think that is all we have time for tonight, guys. Thank you very much for coming.